The Deep Six. 6 stories from your world in 30 minutes or less. Hosted by Patty Steele and Steve Cochran. The Deep Six is on.
Welcome once again to the Deep Six. Steve Cochran live, as far as you know, in Chicago.
Patty Steele nearly dead in New York.
How are you feeling? You recovered from COVID completely? You're 90%? How are you?
Well, that's the weird thing, but I feel in good company because both Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel had COVID within like anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks after having it before.
So you guys all re-COVIDed.
Yeah, I'm not re-COVIDed as far as you know, but I did get this massive sort of like head cold that isn't fun.
Sure.
You know, you're
no, I felt for you because we've spoken many times in a couple of weeks you've been dealing with this. And it was either you were trying to avoid my call by pretending you were sick or you were really sick.
I go, oh God, Steve.
I can't possibly talk right now.
Yeah. Please go.
All right. Well, listen, here's what we do. We do 2 friends, 6 stories in about 30 minutes. Are you ready?
Yeah, sometimes 45, but that's okay.
The Deep Six. Story number 1.
You're telling me that the legendary Johnny Cash has somehow made it back into the news.
I love this. So the folks of Kingsland, Arkansas. Have you ever been to Kingsland, Arkansas?
I've only been to Little Rock.
Okay. Well, Kingsland, Arkansas is where this water tower is located. And here's the problem. Somebody took a shot at the water tower. Now, it's a beautiful water tower. They just redid it. It features a mural of Johnny Cash. And somebody took a pot shot, so to speak, at the silhouette of Cash in the groin area.
Oh,
causing
no.
the water to spurt out, much like he was peeing. And the tower was shot like about a week and a half ago and is still leaking. Crews are trying to make repairs, but he keeps peeing down below, like hundreds of feet down. The city had spent $300,000 getting the water tank up and running and putting that beautiful mural on. And now there he is peeing. My thought was they should put a little potty down below and they could then recycle the water back up and have it be one of those little weird fountains that you buy. But I don't think that's a go.
Yeah. And I would think, you know, the commercials with the guy that's got the magic rubber tape that he repairs boats so they don't sink.
Exactly.
That's a missed opportunity.
It is.
A missed opportunity. He should climb that water tower and slap some of that tape on Johnny Cash's crotch.
Exactly. Man, you're right. Because think of all the water they're losing in this time.
Yeah.
At least we hope it's
fell
water.
into a stream from Johnny Cash.
Exactly.
Item number 2 in entertainment is about your boyfriend, Tom Brady.
We've been talking about and making fun of the fact that they're going to pay him at Fox Sports $357 million to talk about sports. And we're not even sure he can talk about sports. We know he can do them, but can he talk about them? But now what they're going to do is they're going to roast him. Netflix has a new comedy special titled Greatest Roasts of All Time. And Tom Brady will be the first target. The thing is, he's also an executive producer on the show. So probably they'll be somewhat protective of him, but I don't know, maybe not. And Netflix has and this would be a fun job, a vice president of stand-up and comedy. And he said, we can't wait to burn 3-time Super Bowl losing quarterback Tom Brady, who only went back to the NFL in order to delay this roast. Well,
not a bad line for a guy that's not a professional, but manages professional comedy. Look, Netflix does a great job with comedy. They're obviously piggybacking with Comedy Central and the success Comedy Central had with roasts.
Right.
I am not a big fan of roasts. I've had to perform at many of them.
Ooh.
They get personal really quickly. That's not, I'd rather make fun of me like other people do than make fun of other people in that fashion.
And look at what it did to Chris Rock, making fun of Will Smith's wife. Got bashed in the face. So,
So I don't know. You know, look, it's Tom Brady. Nothing sticks to him. He prints money. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure it'll be fine. But this is still a little ways off, right?
It's a good question. I don't know. I mean, they're in the midst of producing it and getting it up and running. And they say he went back to the NFL in order to delay the roast. So does that mean they're going to wait until he quits? like Fox is going to wait till he quits, or maybe they're going to go ahead with it anyway. But it's interesting how we just as a society, we love to make fun of people. And that kind of brings us to social media, which has been absolutely relentless in making fun of Amber Heard at this defamation trial between her and Johnny Depp. They say,
well, not just social media, SNL, right? I mean, SNL did like, I don't know, 7-minute bit.
Oh, yeah. They don't let it go. One TikTok post alone had almost 40 million views. And of course, SNL went after her, talking about her, how do I put this delicately, crapping in her and Johnny's bed to pay him back.
I think you need to be more mature about it and say she made a poopy where she goes night night.
Because he showed up late, weirdly, at her 30th birthday party. So she decided to do that. Now she denies it. She tries to say that it was his like 2 or 3 pound teacup Yorkie. Kind of don't think that makes a whole lot of sense in terms of the size of this thing.
Or the size of Johnny Depp. What's he doing with a teacup Yorkie?
And he's got 2 of them, actually. But anyway, here's the other side of the argument. A lot of folks online are saying, and I got to kind of go with them on this, that this pesky little reenactment game that everybody's doing, like they get on and they say, oh, they didn't have any oranges at Whole Foods. And they reenact her, sobbing.
The whining. Yeah.
Here's the thing, like her or not, these kinds of games really diminish and make us kind of feel hardcore against the victims of domestic abuse. It hardens us. It's a kind of a heartless thing. And you have to go with that. You don't have to like her or even be on her team, so to speak, to understand that when you make fun of domestic abuse and the victims of domestic abuse, you're really kind of quietly giving it a little bit of a thumbs up or saying, it's okay because she was a bitch or whatever.
Well, yeah, and I think that's right. I think that we've missed the point in the big picture, because you can have both. You can have your fun, but at some point you do have to understand that both of them alleged to be victims of domestic abuse. I grew up in a household with domestic abuse and violence, right. And it's not a joke if you've lived through it.
It sure isn't. And it doesn't matter whether it's the male or the female or someone in between that is a victim of it. Nobody deserves that. And so making fun of it, whether you believe her or not, isn't the point. The point is it diminishes the whole story of domestic abuse.
And there are resources everywhere. I don't like the type of talk radio or podcast that tells you something, gets you fired up, and doesn't give you a place to go. I think the 2 takeaways I've had from my years of talking about this are: it's not your fault if you're the victim. Right. You didn't ask for it. You didn't create the scenario. Nobody deserves that. And men are much in the minority, but men are domestic abuse victims as well.
Oh, sure they are.
And
Absolutely.
there are resources in your community. And if you don't know who to turn to, call your local hospital wherever you live and tell them your situation, and you'd like to know who to talk to. The easiest way is to just get online and Google domestic abuse help in your zip code. You'll get lots of choices.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, all right, let's do a happier twist on this as we move to item number 2.
The Deep Six, number 2.
It's wedding season.
Wedding season, exactly. And here's the thing, like you go out and you're looking and, you drive through town and you see people posing for their wedding pictures and stuff. Hey, guess what? You're going to see something you haven't seen in the past, because a big trend is now brides wearing black dresses. Black bridal gowns, really big. According to Google Trends, searches for black wedding dress have kept pace with searches for white wedding dress over the past 12 months. And in fact, beat out white wedding dresses last September and October. And I think it's in other colors as well, but black seems to be the big one. They also include blue, champagne, purple, red, that kind of thing.
Well, how do you feel about that?
I guess I'm old school. I love the idea of a white or ivory, just because I think it's pretty. Yeah. But at the same time, it's your moment, and you should feel as perfect as you want to feel, and as it should celebrate who you are inside. And so I would never even remotely tell another person, even my own kids, how to approach that moment in time in their life.
And picking that dress is a huge, huge, huge deal, which is why you have a lot of shows about it.
Right.
But you may not know this. I pitched a show called Say Yes to the Tuxedo. And it's just the groom and a couple of his groomsmen going to pick it up, arguing about the fact that one of the idiots never got sized, going in and picking it up while it's wrapped in plastic and leaving. It's a very short show. It's less than 5 minutes.
One episode, 15 minutes.
Because they
You
all
get-
say yes to the tuxedo.
You do have to decide whether you want the ruffled shirt.
Yes. Yes.
I don't even know if that still
and,
exists, though.
Yes. And the cufflinks, keep track of them.
But here's the good news. You could pay for this all with your face.
I'm sorry, you said you could pay with my face?
Well, I wouldn't pay with your face. I
No.
want something a little more expensive.
Yeah,
Oh,
and-
I didn't mean that. I love you.
No, listen, my face is on a lot of lists with an X through it because they don't trust my face to pay.
How much could I get for your face?
Mhm.
MasterCard has introduced new technology that lets you pay for all kinds of items when you go shopping with just your face. So I walk into the grocery store, I pick up the aforementioned oranges, and I say, here's my face. I want these oranges.
Okay, but I don't understand the technology because I take my credit card out and tap my card. Do I have to slam my face into the place where I used to tap my card?
Yes, you have to jam it into that little slot. No, you just show your face, much like it's facial recognition on
Okay.
your phone. But you don't even
Okay.
have to bring a card with you or anything else. You just kind of stare into it. It looks at you, probably at your irises or something. But they also are talking about doing it with your hand. Should you feel uncomfortable with your face, you could just hold your hand up and it reads your hand.
I'm concerned because, you and I look like famous people, and
Yeah.
you may get a lot of Angelina Jolie's bills. I may get a lot
Oh,
of Brad
sure.
Pitt's bills.
Yes, exactly. It'll misread my face for some supermodel. It'll let me buy more stuff, right?
I suppose. I mean, why not?
The Deep Six.
Item number 3 is all about the idea that you may decide to have kids after you get married. And I have a question for you, parent, as I am as well.
Mhm.
At what age should a kid get their first cell phone? What age should kids get cell phones? And yes, good news, I have a study.
Well, there you go. I would say if I was not accessing the study, which I'm not, it's funny how it's changed over the years. Like my kid, my oldest son, was begging for a cell phone. I think he was 12 or 13.
Yep.
And I did not think it was appropriate at that age, at that point in time. He's 26 now, so it was 14 years ago. And I said, I don't think so. And his dad said, absolutely, I'll be your best friend. I'll get you that cell phone. Got him the cell phone of choice. And it was literally lost within less than a week. And I said, see? So after that, we did buy him another one, of course, but a much cheaper version. Now it's like you're being a horrifying parent if you wait until that age. People are talking about 6, 7, 8, that age.
Yeah, in 2015, according to the Common Sense Media people, and you know who they are, 11% of 8-year-olds owned a smartphone. My kids are both 13 when they got their phone.
I thought you said they are now. It's like,
Yeah, they're
wait, don't
twins.
they have children?
Yes, one of them does. My kids are both were both 13,
Uh-huh.
and 11% of 8-year-olds in 2015 had cell phones. By 2019, that was 19%.
Wow.
Most recent stats were last year in 2021. 27% of 8-year-olds now have cell phones. Over 90% of 14 to 18-year-olds own a phone, a cell phone. Now, you got all the problems that come with it, right?
Social media.
Cyberbullying,
Yep.
imaging,
Yep.
social media stuff, appropriate surfing, wasting time as opposed to doing homework or getting your dad a beer,
Not going to bed on time.
not going to bed on time, taking your phone to bed with you, never getting off the screen. All that notwithstanding, I still think the number you brought up and the number I brought up is a little more appropriate. And I think you got to be the parent. You got to lay down the cell phone rules the same way you lay down rules, related to the rest of your family life in your house. I think 13 is a good number for most kids.
Yeah, because that's about the age when like you will allow them to maybe walk around downtown or whatever without you. And you do want them to have some way of getting in touch with you. I don't think these days, at least, most people are dropping their 8-year-olds off downtown and saying, hey, I'll be back in a couple hours. Give me a buzz when you want me to pick you up. I just think that there needs to be a little more attentiveness to someone who is still at that age. And so the idea of outfitting them with a phone that kind of puts them in touch with an outside world they're not always ready to handle.
Right.
To me, doesn't make sense, but what do I
It does
know?
not make sense. And you'll find here on the Deep Six that Patty and I are rarely wrong. Just ask us.
Oh, we're never wrong. Don't say
So,
rarely.
All right. So we're taking you kind of on a timeline here, right? Because
Right.
you're married, you have kids. We talked about what age your kid should have a cell phone, but your kids are going to grow up at some point if you have them. And you came up with kind of an interesting story here. Tell people about this one.
Well, here's the thing. So your kid at 8 wants a phone and they kind of act like I'm an adult. At this point, I'm independent. You no longer breastfeed me usually. I need my phone. Well, as it turns out, only half of all Americans actually felt like an adult by the time they turned 18, which is when everybody thinks you're an adult.
See,
And
I've got to go backwards for a second and just say 8-year-olds getting breastfed was a speed bump for me. Are there people who are still breastfeeding at 8 years old?
Well, who is it? It's Ice-T and his wife. Their kid, they have a daughter who's maybe 7 and still pops on once in a while for a little.
I think if your kid's old enough to light the candles and get the wine, they're too old to breastfeed.
Exactly.
All right. Anyway, I interrupted you. So
No, that's okay.
18-year-olds
We'll go back.
not feeling like they're
By
an
the
adult.
yeah, half of people did not feel like an adult at 18. I'm
Okay.
one of those. I did not feel like an adult at 18. But the interesting thing, it said for those who didn't feel like an adult on 18, for most of them, it took them until they hit 30 years of age. They found, and this is researcher talk, adulting takes time. Adulting. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, that's a hot
adulting.
trend. This
Yeah.
whole word, the word adulting, that's a big deal now. But I don't know. You tell me. But I felt like an adult when I became a parent and when I started paying bills.
Well, that's the thing. And that depends on when you start, not so much the parenting thing, but when you start paying bills. But look at all the studies we've read of how many young adults still live with their parents well into their 20s and close to 30.
Yeah, that's true.
And that may be part of the reasoning, because if you're still living with mom and dad and you're 30, 28, 27, 28, 29 years old, you don't really feel like an adult because you are not sitting down trying to figure out how you're going to pay the bills and trying to take care of yourselves. They said that 2/3 of people believe 18 is simply an arbitrary age at which to consider somebody adult. 59% said they still don't feel like an adult even when they're like 40. And 79% agree being an adult is really more, as you said, about actions rather than age. So it is paying the bills. It's being responsible for everything that it means to be an adult. And it's, having a kid. Man, that's what really puts you over the top.
The Deep Six. Number 4.
I'm going to ask you a question. Would you buy a human-sized dog bed? Now, there's a company, it's a new product called the Puffle. I love the name of it. I love them.
Mhm.
It makes me want to crawl into a Puffle.
Yeah.
It's the first dog bed for people. It is intended to help alleviate stress and anxiety, made with memory foam and all sorts of other stuff. Got a big faux fur cover. It's a giant dog bed that can comfortably fit 2 people, or as I prefer, a human and a great big doggy. It has a fur covering that is machine washable. And the bed is portable. So if you are really weird and you want to take it on vacation with you, you can jam it in a box. It is about $400, so it's not cheap, but
Well, have you seen the
enough.
kind of money pet owners are spending? It's a record every year.
yeah.
Dedicated pet owners will buy anything you lay out there for your dog.
Don't you think it has something to do with the fact that especially this little bit younger generation is not so anxious, not nearly as anxious to have children as people in previous generations?
Yeah. I
And
think
so what
that's a great
happens
point.
is they need to fulfill that parenting impulse. And so, and I got to admit, my kids are grown now. They're in their early to mid 20s. I'm constantly looking at my two dogs as my little girls. They're my babies. And so I will tell you, I'd buy a king size Puffle so I could climb in with both my dogs and maybe my husband. But if there's no room for him, that's fine.
What happens if you get the Puffle? There's a sentence I've never said before. What happens if you get the Puffle and your dog still wants to sleep on the bed with you?
No, the Puffle is for you. It's for hello. It is for
I thought it was like for napping and comforting and cuddling.
No, this is it's a
this
bed.
Is your actual bed?
It is your actual bed.
Well, that's different.
But it's made so that it is very similar to it. Because truly, if you have dogs, haven't you ever looked at them in their dog bed and gone, man, they look so comfortable. Like they just move. They like lay their heads over the edge. They got their paws spread out. It looks so relaxing. So I thought about that and I went, oh, this is me. I need a Puffle, but I want a really big Puffle because I've got two big dogs. And occasionally my husband wants to sleep in the same bed. So I would allow him to do that.
Listen, you're going to have to make that a TikTok video. Now I have one more dog.
How many views I get?
Yeah, a lot. Do you know that I am very near a big national story this week? I live on the outskirts of Chicago, and in a town called Naperville. Naperville's right next door to a town called Aurora, Illinois.
Aurora. I know this town. Go ahead, tell the story.
Home of Wayne's World. That's probably what Aurora's most famous for.
That's not what I'm thinking of, though.
Yeah. The city council has made some new dog ordinance laws that some people around the country are doing, but I got to tell you, I think they're dog restrictive. Here's the deal. If you have a dog that's outside barking for more than 15 minutes, anytime between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m., so 7 in the morning, 10 o'clock at night, if your dog barks for more than 15 minutes, the dog police can come by and give you a ticket.
Wait a minute. So it's okay if they bark at 3 o'clock in the morning endlessly?
Oh, no. No. At night between 10:01 and 6:59 the following day, it's only 10 minutes of barking that will be allowed.
So your dog has to have like a little alarm that goes off that says, oh, got to stop barking.
I think they wear watches. I think dog wrist watches are going to be sold with every Puffle. And that way the dog, because, think about it. If it's 10 o'clock and it's getting near the end of your 15-minute window and you got 5 extra minutes of barking to get in, right? Maybe it's like 9:30 and your dog's going, roof, I got to bark. I got to
get this out of me.
Yeah, right.
I'm stressed. I need to get the bark out. Well, here's the other thing that I read about your laws there in Aurora. You can only have 4 animals, companion animals, fur babies, and only up to 2 of the same species. And that includes dogs, cats, ferrets, rabbits, guinea pigs, or hamsters. Like they're going to limit the number of hamsters you have?
I think you have to at one point. That's why I had to limit to 1 gorilla.
It's funny. I once went to look at an apartment with my daughter in New York City. And I know she loves dogs. And so I said, do you guys have any pet restrictions? And he said, yes, we do. You may have 50 pounds of pets. And I went, 50 pounds? So that means that if she moves in with 6 8-pound cats, you're okay with that? And he said, absolutely.
That is flawed logic.
I can have 50 pounds of pets.
I would ask you, how much does a cockroach weigh?
Right, exactly. I can have thousands of them. I can have like 50 or wait, how much does a mouse weigh? I could have 100 mice. And
that's a law that needs to be or a rule that needs to be revisited.
The Deep Six, number 5.
Waking up in a chic hotel room with a view of the solar system could be the future of travel. There's a couple of folks at this place called Orbital Assembly that they're putting together. They want to launch not 1, but 2 space stations with tourist accommodations. And I know what you're saying, Steve Cochran. Oh, that's really funny. That's way in the future. I'll never live to see that. Well, yes, you will with any luck, because one of them, the Voyager, will accommodate 400 people. It will open just 5 years from now in 2027. And the original one, the Pioneer station, will hold just 28 people. That'll be operational, they say, in 2025. It says it won't exactly have full on artificial gravity that will make you feel like you're normal, but there will be some gravity. They say what they call the comforts of artificial gravity will be there. Like you can take a shower without the water going up to the ceiling. You will be able, you will have the ability to eat and drink while sitting down, but the spaces with less gravity will allow, they say, for even more fun and space quirks. I say it allows for more vomiting.
Yeah, and if you're vomiting in low gravity areas, that's bad for everybody.
Yeah, I would say so. So my questions about this place, I have three big questions. First, I want to know the cost because I know how much, like Virgin Galactic, it wants like $250,000-$350,000 just to go up in the sky, ride around the Earth, and come back an hour later. So it's going to cost because they're expecting you to go up for a couple of weeks if you go. There's the whole danger aspect. Like, what if it cracks? What if like something goes wrong? What if somebody takes a pot shot at Johnny Cash and it starts to leak?
Well, you won't have to worry about the waiver you signed because you're not coming home in that case.
Yeah, no, there's like no coming back from that. And then, of course, we go back to it. For me, the number one question is vomiting because I am I get airsick, seasick, you name it. I get sick on an elevator sometimes. I get sick on pretty much anything that moves rapidly upward or around. So
I've always wanted to go to space. I don't want to go to space with 26 other people or the bigger one.
All right.
In the bigger space hotel, the 398 other people. Right. Yeah, that's not my thing.
Well,
I don't think this is for me.
Go by yourself?
Well, I mean, you got to, have somebody that's willing to go with you if you want to. It'd be fun to bring a friend.
Somebody you can talk to.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm going to have to say no to Space Hotel.
Okay. I hear you. I'm going to have to say no to vomiting excessively.
I think your line that you've drawn in the space station, the Space Hotel, is an appropriate one. We've both been lucky in life. We've done some traveling, and there's a lot of tourist attractions around the world that are must-sees if you get a chance to travel. I have in my hand a list of the world's most complained about tourist attractions.
Oh, is our space station hotel on it?
It's not yet, but I guarantee it'll get there.
It will be.
Yep. Number 10 on the list is Buckingham Palace. Buckingham Palace, most complained about because it's closed too often. And if you do get any sort of tour, you don't see much. The gardens are usually being refurbished, and it's just not special with Buckingham Palace. The Queen is 95 or 96. She's not coming out to say, hello and welcome. It's not going to happen.
No, she didn't come out for the horse show. She's not coming out to say hello to you in a refurbished garden. So, yes.
Number 9 on the list, the Pyramids of Giza. Oh, really? Pyramid schmyramid. What? Those are bull.
Yeah. What are those? Like 100 years old? Who cares?
This is one I don't understand because in New York, where you are, the Empire State Building made the list. I think the Empire State Building's terrific.
I love it, but it's like enormously expensive just to ride up to the top and look out.
Yeah. And there is a line and you sort of feel like you're on a Disney ride because it snakes around for a while.
Yep.
May not be ideal for COVID tourism, but I think people need to get off the Empire State Building. I don't like you bandwagon. I think it's a must see.
Yes.
Number 7, the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Never been? No current plans to go. What about you?
Yes, been there, stared at it, and drove away. Never went. I mean, I don't know can you go into it? I don't know if you can go in. Maybe you can. I didn't attempt to. I had 3 smallish children with me and they were like, why is that thing like moving like that? That looks dangerous. And I went, okay, yeah, bye. I do. I mean, I have to say, I love Italy. I love history. That just was not a must get out of the car and try to find a way inside destination for me.
There is a place north of the city of Chicago. I think it's Skokie. Called the Leaning Tower of Pizza. It's an Italian restaurant built in a style of the Leaning Tower. So if you don't feel like dropping the money to go to Pisa, go to pizza.
Okay.
Number 6 on the list, the White House. And the White House has consistently made the most complained about tourist list shockingly since 2001, because
What's the point?
there's great restrictions on whether or not you can take a tour. And if you do take a tour, it's not, you're not seeing a lot
They
because of
hold a gun on
security.
you. Yeah. Yeah.
Number 5, Big Ben.
Big Ben.
Big Ben.
Been
Yeah,
there.
Big Ben. I've been to London and I love London.
It's a clock.
Big Ben's a freaking clock.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun to look at, but it's a clock.
This one seems unfair. Number 4, the Hollywood sign.
Mm-hmm.
What were you expecting? It's letters on a hill.
Wow. I am taking a trip to LA very soon and staying in the Hollywood Hills. So I will attempt to look away from the Hollywood sign just to be on that list so I can avoid being annoyed by it.
Yeah, I mean, the first time you go to Hollywood and you look up there and you see the sign, you go, oh, that's kind of cool. Smaller than I thought.
Yeah.
I guess if you hike up the hill to get next to it and take a selfie, maybe you're going, well, that wasn't worth the effort. I don't know.
Fun fact, it used to say Hollywood Land, but the land part fell off decades and decades ago.
Might be fun to take another letter out to see who notices.
Hollywood.
Number 3, Stonehenge.
Uh-huh.
No, yeah, I know. Bunch of.
Yeah, it's a history thing. So it's kind of interesting to me to stand there and look at that and think about where it came from, how it got there and that kind of thing. But then you're done with it. But it is pretty interesting.
I think, the Stonehenge thing, it's probably built by the same bad contractors that put the pyramids of Giza together.
Yes, exactly.
This one I don't understand because it's exceptional. As rude as Parisians are to Americans,
Uh-huh.
it is the most beautiful city in the world, I think. Big city in the world.
Exquisite. Yeah.
But the Palace of Versailles outside of Paris.
Oh my, so wrong. Because here's what I'm going to tell you. My favorite thing about the Palace of Versailles is not the palace. But if you go through the palace, it's really a really shiny place. Lots of gold and crystal and mirrors and stuff. And that's nice, but whatever. You have to take the walk through the woods and through the fields to this little hamlet that Marie Antoinette had built where she wanted to get away from all the stuffiness of the court. And she built this little place and it's little cottages. And when she went back there, she would dress like a peasant. And if you visited her there, you were assigned the job of, watching the chickens or picking up the eggs or gardening or shearing the lambs, that kind of thing. It was all about, and it's a fascinating look at this person who at the age of 14 was basically condemned to the life of a queen with a king that had zero interest in her for the first 7-8 years of her life. And she just needed a place to go and feel like a real person. And I'm not an apologist for Marie Antoinette. She was beheaded. I think she,
Had it coming.
history. No, I don't say that, but history already paid her back. I don't need to pile on her head. But I do think that the most beautiful thing in the world is to walk back there and see that. You can
Well, it's
also
good to
go
know.
the house, the sort of barn where they keep the carriages. It's a pretty interesting place. The palace itself, it's just a palace,
Number 1 on the list, most complained about tourist attractions, and I agree with it 100%, the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Wow. I have
The Hollywood
another
Walk of-
Hollywood thing. I haven't done that.
The Hollywood Walk of Fame is always dirty because the dirty little secret about the Hollywood Walk of Fame is the people that get those plaques have to be nominated and approved, but they then have to pay a fee for the
Yeah.
plaque and for the installation ceremony. And then it's up to them to clean the plaque. So outside of the street sweepers and that sort of thing, there's no special cleaning that goes on.
So
So
maybe is there like a service that you could hire if you have, if you're special, you
like a
could hire
pool boy for the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
like somebody says, okay, I'm going to do this block of 200 stars or
Right.
plaques.
Right.
And that's probably what it is. So you have to pay somebody, like it's probably a group clean.
Yeah, I would think so. And
Pay
it
your
could
portion.
well be someone who once was quite famous and now can't find a gig. They're now
Right, so they
cleaning.
clean the plaques.
the plaques on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So there you go. Those are your most complained about tourist attractions. All right, we're fast running out of time.
Yes,
But when we
are.
get to item number 6, as we have, we like you to have a bit of an education here.
Mhm.
And Patty promises she's going to solve one of the great mysteries of humankind.
Well, here's the thing. Hopefully, we have not led you to begin yawning while you're listening to us.
Right.
But I will tell you, haven't you ever wondered, like, why is it when you yawn that people look at you and they yawn, or you look at somebody?
Yeah.
and
Why is
they yawn,
yawning
they say,
contagious?
Oh, and
Yeah.
you do it, and it feels good, but you don't really know why there is this contagious yawn. And so they have been studying it, and they now claim that it evolved as a social cue to warn others that we're not as alert as we should be. So they need to be extra vigilant about keeping watch for predators. Obviously, this is before language and anything else. And maybe it goes back even to animals, because animals do the same thing. There is a contagious yawn with animals. And they say after yawning or hearing another person yawn, it is thought to further spread this cue among groups of other social animals. Researchers say it evolved on the plains of Africa thousands and thousands of years ago, and actually no longer applies to modern day humans. So it's possible at some point we're going to stop yawning.
So the evolution of yawning could mean yawning goes away.
Yeah, which I don't really like, much as I don't like the idea of, if we don't use our thumbs will go away. I don't like that evolution. I want to keep what I've got. And I kind of like that feeling of like stretching and yawning.
Yeah.
And sometimes when another person does it, it inspires me to yawn. I like
But
the feeling.
I understand the social cue part, right? Like you're an ancient Earth citizen
Mhm.
and you're out hunting for dinner. And
You're really
you
tired.
look at Bob and you go, Bob, you look a little tired. Are you sure you're up to going out spearing?
Yes.
And Bob goes, "Ooh," and you
I
go,
just had a
okay,
little
Bob, I got
grog,
this.
and I don't think I'm gonna.
Yeah, Grog says I've got this one, and you're done, right?
Right.
So maybe that's a good social cue to have at your summer party or barbecue coming up. But it seems kind of obvious that you want to go home because you look bored.
Oh, I do like that idea though. Instead of saying, okay, it's over, everybody out, you just go, oh, good. You just do that big stretch and you yawn, and then everybody else starts yawning. And then you don't even have to say it. Other people say, wow, it's been a really fun, long evening, but I'm getting kind of tired.
Yeah.
And it's like you have infected them with your sleepiness. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. No, I think that's absolutely it. And there you go. There's your science item. I feel like we've really helped. Why is Johnny Cash peeing? Well, what's the deal on wedding season? You got kids, you got dogs, you got travel and vacations, and one of the mysteries of the world solved. 2 stories, or I should say 2 friends, 6 stories. 30, 45 minutes. We got you entertained and give you a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. Patty, thank you.
Thank you. And hopefully you're not yawning at this point. Or it's okay, I guess, now.
Thanks for listening. The Deep Six. Subscribe, rate, follow, or review at pattysteele.com or cochranshow.com.